Welcome back to another Phill-osophy Arc episode. In this episode, I'm covering soul tears, the ripping away of what is most deeply important to us, having it torn out by the universe. Now a lot of you are thinking, what would bring on a soul tear and what even is it? Well, we've all experienced a soul tear, folks. Some of us, many. We can experience a soul tear when someone close to us dies, when we lose a family pet, when we get involved in a car accident and lose a friend, when we break up with a partner or have them break up with us. We can experience it also in divorce. We can experience it when we leave a country and friends and mates behind to head back home after a good holiday. We can experience it when a friendship ends. We can experience it when a family member loses a baby. We can experience it when we say goodbye to a grandparent. We can experience it on the battlefield. We're watching mates be blown apart by mortar fire or shelling. We can experience it when we leave home for the last time. And we can experience it when we meet death and everything that death is. A soul tear is a moment that the universe reaches in and rips away a piece of ourselves, takes it permanently, doesn't come back. But there is hope. The torn piece of the soul can be rebuilt. Just like when a truck comes flying down the street and smashes into the front lounge room of your home, or a tree falls on your roof and caves in your entire bloody everything, the roof's just... Well, a soul tear is about rebuilding it. And to rebuild, we need infrastructure, we need stability, we need new arteries and framework, we need new roof lines, we need new awnings and gables, we need new tiles or colorbond steel, To rebuild ourselves, we need perseverance, hope, especially hope. Hope gets us through a lot of things, folks. And we also need just to tough it out. I speak from experience when I say that to rebuild the hole in my soul, wow, that took in stages. It was like a multi-stage renovation of my soul and my heart, It took probably 3 years to get over the initial shock and realize that I had a massive hole gaping inside of me. It's like the anime characters where they're just being run straight through with a laser or a tank shell or something, or a cannonball, and they're still walking. They're just like, they've got to say their last line before they keel over and die or not. And that's what I realized, is that I had this gaping hole. That took 3 years. And the next part is that, it took about 5 years to start filling that hole, to backfill it with goodness and wanting to keep going and wanting to rebuild and wanting to find my better, happiest future self. It took a while. It wasn't overnight. Oh, gosh. Definitely wasn't overnight. And after that 5 years, I found out and I redesigned who I was. I found out and I redesigned myself. And I got myself to the baseline, I got myself to the start of the new race, at the starting line. And then from there I thought, well, what do I want to do with all this rebuilding that I've done, I've got the framework, the formwork, the re-bricked the walls, re-weatherboarded the house, re-lined the roof, got the colorbond steel back down. I'm like, what do I want to fill this house with? This house being the soul and the mind. So I thought, well, I want to be a creative. I want to continue being a creative, and I want to turn my artistic talent into a business. And that, of course, is when this little project came along to build this bad boy and build my high-backed chair and ply my craft into the creative world on the short film Wasteland, of which still lost to time. I might never get footage of it, but that's okay. Because at the end of the day, I realized then I wasn't getting paid with publicity or fame. But I did a damn good job, and I did have a stipulation. I get to keep everything I make on that film set. So I did. And that was my first big project. That's when I realized, hey, creating is fun. Creating, rebuilding, renewing, renovating. Because life is like a house. If we don't get a lick of paint or sand back the peeling paint and repaint, you know, like fill in the gaps and wood filler the holes, you know, of the nails, or the wood's rotting so you got to replace it, or the gutter needs tuning up or gutter replacement, you know, or if the corrugated steel's rusting and it needs to be replaced, or the internals are buggered and they need replacing, you know. So we've got to like paint, maintain, renew, repair, and upkeep a house. Otherwise, it just slowly falls down into the rubble and it rots back into the earth and becomes nothing. Life is like a house in that respect. And so is the hole in our souls. So that's another part to it. And the next stages to filling up the hole in our soul from it being torn away is to, they call it granulation, and it's a part of an injury, and it's the stage when an injury gets to, it's not just scabbed over, it's now healing. And if you rip off a scab too early, there'll be these little circles with little dots inside of them sometimes. They call that granulation because that's when the body starts repairing itself and grouping together and then healing and then pushing its growth outwards to then fill the hole in the scar tissue, you know. I'm pretty experienced with this because I've got a lot of scars physically and mentally and heart and soul wise, so I'm pretty understanding of granulation. The body is a tapestry of adventure and injuries and overcoming them, you know. So the framework is about interlocking things in life, like dry interlocking. Like Japanese architecture is a lot of dry interlocking, so it's earthquake proof. Dry interlocking, if you think about it, make sure that when there's a moment that's going to shake you up and try and rip you apart the next time, it's going to be very hard to pull that apart. And that's the granulation of the soul. Once our granulation of the soul gets better and better and our ties and bonds get stronger and stronger, nothing can pull it apart. Not more pain, not more agony, not more suffering, not more misery, not more sadness. That every time we experience sadness, misery, suffering and pain, it does get easier. It gets more bearable because we get better at it. Now, there was a time in my life where I didn't want to get better at seeing death and saying goodbye to people, but eventually I did, against my will almost, because it meant that I'd see more of it and I'd get more okay with it. And sometimes is that really okay? Is being a greenhorn as opposed to a bloody battle-hardened veteran. If we see the whole journey ahead, we're going to go, well, I don't want to become that. Yeah, I could storm a bunker without batting an eye, but like, do I want to be that from here? But hey, tempering our steel is part of being able to heal soul tears. Now each time we fold our metal and put it back in the fire and hammer it again and put it back in the fire and fold it some more, you know, we get better at life. And we get better at dealing with pain and agony and suffering and loss. And so as we steel, harden and fold our fragments of iron within ourselves, you know, we get better at hardening ourselves against future pain. And sometimes we'll see some horrible things, experience some agonizing misery, and some deep, deep loss. And that's okay, because that's life. Life's going to happen whether we keep up or not. And many times across our life, we're going to have pieces of ourselves torn away by our own actions, by the universe's actions, by other people's actions, by just being in the place and the time, and that happened, you know? It's natural. It's going to happen. It's going to happen to all of us. First of all, we're going to be okay with that. And second of all, as long as we rebuild ourselves and keep on tempering ourselves in the fires of suffering and challenges, our framework is going to be so unbeatable that nothing can rip us apart ever again. That our threshold of challenge will be so high, it'll be right off the page. It'll be right up there. They'll be like, hey, if you can't hurt me this much up here, you can't do nothing to me. I'm unbeatable. And when we become unbeatable, what would the word be? And pardon the French, unfuckwithable. When we can become that, folks, that's when we've healed. That's when another soul tear is not going to hurt us. It'll just be a surface scratch on the skin. And sure, we're going to mourn or cry or reflect. But the pain won't be so deep. The agony won't be so lasting. And the suffering will not be so long. Because if we sturdy up our defenses and build ourselves to be indomitable and unbeatable and undefeatable and unbreakable, life can't topple us, can't crush us, can't hurt us, can't hold us back, can't set us back, and life can't stop us. This is Phill-osophy Arc. And I love all of you, and I love myself. Catch you later. Hey, Future Racer here. If you're finding the Phill-osophy Arc series inspirational, educational, entertaining, humorous, or it's giving you a little smile, think about liking and subscribing. If you have a family member, loved one, or friend who you think could equally benefit from this series, think about sharing it with them.